All right, guys. Thanks for joining for our EASY2 presentation today. My name is Stefan Voigt. I'm the founder of Smart One Solutions, and I'm happy to present to you today our new product, the EASY2 energy management platform. And let's jump right in. So our agenda today is going to be, I'm going to give you a short company overview in Smart One, the background that we do, what we have. Then I'm going to jump into the EASY product introduction and evolution of the EASY2 product line. I'm going to give you the key features and UPSs of the EASY2 system. I'm going to give you a quick technical overview of the EASY2 variants. I will show you some real-world use cases so that you see how our clients are using this solution. And then I want to show you some monitoring and portal capabilities. And at the end, I'm going to give you a short summary. So I would like to talk a little bit about Smart One itself. So Smart One was founded in 2014. We currently have about 6 million of revenue. We're growing pretty fast. Our systems are deployed throughout the world. We currently have about 28 employees. Our team has a lot of experience in the field of energy management, in the technical field. We are mostly an engineer-based company. We spent a lot of time developing the system, so I am personally very happy today to present this solution to you. And at the end of the day, we already have about 20,000 systems in the field, fastly growing. About 5,000 of these systems is large-scale projects. So this is what we do. This is Smart One. So our mission at the end of the day is to provide innovative and sustainable energy management solutions that increase the efficiency, reduce the costs, and actively empower the energy transition. This is what we define as our mission. And the vision for that mission is to set the benchmark for reliability and ease in smart energy, inspiring industrials everywhere around the world to accelerate the transition to a smarter, renewable future. Our values are quality, so we want to provide a very high technology standard for our solutions. We want to be a very innovative product and very innovative company, but we also want to have the simplicity. So even though it's a complex technology, we try to make the user experience effortless. And at the end of the day, we want to be a long-term, trustful partner to you as a company, and we want to establish long-term cooperations for our customers and partners. This is our philosophy at Smart One, so happy that you guys are here today. And the way we achieve this is we developed something that we call the Smart One platform. The Smart One EMS platform, internally we call it the Smart One framework, is a platform designed for energy management. It's not a solution that grew out of a single sector, like the battery storage, and then we have some additions. We do it another way around. We always put the concept into the focus. And for this concept, our system requires components like batteries, like heating elements, charging stations. Also, the grid operator is part of our solution. And out of this, we make a concept, and the concept at the end of the day should result in a product. And this product is what you are seeing today. For example, the EASY2 solution is based on the Smart One framework. Another very important thing to notice is that the Smart One platform has the highest compatibility in the market. We have about 500 different components, even more probably, that are supported by our system, and our partners benefit from this huge level of integrations, this huge level of compatibility that we have in the system. So this is what defines our platform, that we are manufacturer agnostic. You're not bound to any manufacturer. We try to provide an open solution that covers all of the areas that are required for professional energy management. So the way this system was developed, the EASY2 line, it all started in 2014. So in 2014, we entered the market with something that we call Smart One Professional. And Smart One Professional is a highly configurable solution. It's an a la carte platform for complex industrial sites and is designed for commercial energy management. So this is like the base for our solutions. Now what we did over the years is we tried to make our solution more easy. And this is what we call EASY. And the EASY variant 1 was a plug-and-play EMS for smaller projects like home energy management systems, small business solutions, but already basically took this complex field of energy management and transformed it into something that was much more easy to use. Now what we did now with the EASY2 series is we took the experience that we had from version 1 and put it into a fully sophisticated plug-and-play EMS platform for small and medium applications. The platform itself aims to be easy to use, easy to install, easy to configure, and capable for rollouts. This is the evolution of the EASY2 series, and this is what we are speaking today about. So why is EASY2 the game changer? The first reason is that it combines plug and play with the professional grade features, which means that we are going to have solutions that, even though are very complex, we try to make it very easy to use. We have the support for 4 to 30 chargers per controller with the capability to jump up to 250 chargers in a master-slave scenario, so it's also a very scalable system. The system also supports batteries, it supports PV, it supports dynamic energy market prices, and it's a all-in-one solution. So it's one system, one configuration out of the box. We also have all the connectivity required for the grid operators with active, reactive power control and everything that is required for you to install the system into your grid areas. So you don't need to think about this part where how do I get this connected to the grid operator. We cover this piece for you. The EASY2 solution has all the required interfaces for that. The next very big advantage is that you don't need any external specialists. The EASY is designed in a way that it's easy to commission, easy to install, and we also provide something that we call a commissioning support, which means that if you require any help during the installation, during the commission, we have a team of professionals that will help you with the deployment of your system into the field. The next thing is that we have a market-ready pricing model. We have no recurring EMS license costs for hardware and firmware. The market pricing model is designed in a way to be a one-time purchase model, and you don't have any running costs for the system. And last but not least, it has off-the-shelf availability, and it's available now. So you don't have to wait, 2 months to get your solution. You can order it now, you will get it in a couple of days, and you can install and commission it in a very, very fast manner. This is why EASY2 is the game changer in this area. Now the EASY2 product line consists of multiple solutions. So I want to show you a couple examples. So the first one is what we call the EASY2 e-mobility, and I brought today for you guys a cabinet here, which is the EASY2 e-mobility cabinet. This is like the standard solution that we sell, for example, to CPOs, that we sell to installers that do e-mobility projects. It's designed in a way, and we will come to that in a little bit, that it has everything built in that you require for your e-mobility projects. But we don't end there. We have the next part at the end of the day that is, for example, our EASY2 commercial platform. And the EASY2 commercial platform is designed in a way that it has all things built in. It comes in different forms and shapes, that it has all built in a ready-to-go installation box that you need for your energy projects. And even if a box like this is not enough for you, we have something that we call a master-slave scenario, where you can have multiple controllers teaming up to achieve the goal of a larger scale project. And we also have ready-to-install boxes for this. And this is one, for example. It's a master-slave box that already has 2 controllers built in with all the interfaces laid out to professional interfaces for you, easy to use and easy to install. We will talk about these products in a little bit, but for now I want to switch back to the actual features. We obviously also have solutions for batteries, so we also have what we call the EASY2 battery solution, that is designed specifically for battery producers. Now, the key features of EASY2. So, the first and very important feature is it's a scalable platform. So it scales from very small applications to master-slave industrial systems. It includes everything that you want inside the box. So it's a one-box solution. It includes power supplies, the controllers, the routers, the switches, and everything is pre-wired. So the aim is to have a solution that is very fast and easy to install. So the installation, as you can see, is very important to us. The idea here is to mount, connect the mains, connect the field cables, power it up, job done. That's the plan that we have, or that's the mission that we have with the Power 2 solution. So it should be very fast to install, very fast to commission, very fast to also configure. So the configuration itself in the system is done not through controlling. It's done not through programming. It's basically done through activation and to parameterization. So you don't need to know how to program. You basically only need to know how to enable features inside the system. And we will also help you with this and train you on this. So it's a platform that basically aims to make this very complex field of energy management quite simple. Another very important feature is that we also provide a top-level platform for centralized asset monitoring. So you can monitor your batteries in the system, you can monitor your chargers into the system, you can monitor all of your components into one top-level asset monitoring platform. I will show you a little bit on this later. The next thing is we also have a platform that we call the EnergyCloud for dynamic power pricing. So we also have an integration into the EASY2 for dynamic power tariffs for market optimization through external APIs. So you can even connect your own providers for energy prices, your virtual power plants to this platform. And like I said, we also have our own platform, the Smart One EnergyCloud, that is designed for these dynamic power tariffs. Another important thing is that we have real-time monitoring and remote access. So as soon as you deploy our system to the field, you can remotely connect to the system, you can commission the system, you can do changes to the system, and you usually don't need to go on site. That's also how we support you in your commissioning. So all in all, it's an all-in-one solution, and EASY2 is the all-in-one EMS that is the perfect fit for these kind of applications. Easy to use, easy to install, fast to commission, but still cover a very complex area for energy management. So speaking a little bit more about the technicalities in the system. So like you've seen before, we have something that we call EASY2 e-mobility. We have EASY2 battery, we have EASY2 commercial, but at the end of the day, it's one universal platform. It's one big platform that is one big solution. We call it EASY2. And each of the solutions can transform into the other solution just by the use of a license. So you can convert an EASY e-mobility into an EASY commercial, you can convert an EASY battery into an EASY commercial, and you can actually add the functionalities of e-mobility and battery also into the commercial. So you have one solution, one product line for all of your needs, and you have a future-proof solution, you can always convert one solution into the other solution. This is what we call the universal EASY2 platform. So the EASY2 platform, at the end of the day, it comes in different forms and shapes. You have already seen a couple boxes before. We have more boxes than the one that you saw here today. You can get all this information later on from the data sheet, but I want to give you the key highlights. So the first important point is that we have the right form factor for your installation. That means that we have designed boxes that fit specific use cases. So each of the box variants that we have is designed for particular use cases and optimized for those particular use cases. So if I switch back to our e-mobility box that I want to show you here, it's designed specifically for the CPO use case. It has all the Ethernet connectors built in, it has the switch built in, but it's also in a shape and form. It's very small, very compact, that it can be installed inside a transformer station. And we have situations, we have boxes like this for different situations. So at the end of the day, the reason why we have multiple boxes is because they are already pre-designed for these particular applications. We also have the capability to have local displays. So if you require to have like a local touchscreen display, I can show you on this device here, these touchscreen displays, you can control mostly everything on them directly on the device. So you can see what's going on, you can see what's happening there. So if you have the requirement to have a local visualization, you can also have this display solution for our system. And one very important thing is, like I showed you before, our solution grows with your project. So if your project is growing later on, we have these master-slave boxes that you can start with one controller, and later on, when your project gets bigger, you just install a secondary EASY2, the same controller, same product, EASY2 controller inside these boxes. So it's not a buy once and if the project grows, we replace it. It's designed in a way that you buy it once and then it grows with the project. The idea behind our boxes is mount, power, done. So you mount it, you power it up, you are done. You don't need to take care of the commissioning if you don't want to. This is something that we can take over for you through something that we call the Smart One commissioning service. So we want to make the use of the EMS solution as easy as possible for you. And the next most important thing is it's one software with endless options. So all variants of the EASY software can basically transform into each other like you saw before. And you don't need to have any hardware swaps, any replacements just to change something that's happening inside the project. So now I spoke a little bit about the platform itself, and I want to show you some actual use cases, how our clients are using our applications in the field. And I want to start with one customer, EnBW, that's using our solution for something that we call a large-scale rollout. So the challenge with this solution is that this rollout of EnBW is nationwide. They need a very high reliable solution because they are in the critical energy sector. They build charging infrastructure, so they need a rollout capable plan. And those sites actually do have a quite high complexity. So the solution that we provide is each charging hub, in this case, is equipped with one of our Smart One load management boxes that also contain one of our EASY controllers. It's delivered ready to install, which means that they get the box pre-commissioned. They just install the box inside the transformer station. And the benefit for the client is that they can do a very cost-efficient rollout with our solution. It's a highly scalable solution for future expansion. And the system manages the entire site with the interface to the grid operator. So this is the solution that we provide to them. And now let me show you how the solution actually works in this case. So this is how your typical installation for a DC charging infrastructure looks. You have the grid that you can see here on the left side. You have the transformer station that has a certain capability. And you have a high number of chargers. So in this case, we have a 1 megawatt transformer. We have about 2 megawatts of DC chargers connected to this transformer. And that leaves us with the requirement to have the real-time active power regulation limitation requirement, which means that we need to limit the charging stations in a way that we never overload the transformer station. In addition, we have the requirement from the distribution grid operator, DSO. And the DSO requires by the VDE 4110 or 4105 to actually regulate the power of the charging station through a grid operator interface. So you need to limit the power of the charging stations if the grid operator requests you to. We also have the requirements to do reactive power regulation based on the regulatory requirements, and all of this also needs to be fulfilled with the EMS. And I want to show you how this is actually done. So what we have done is we have designed a box for this. It's the EASY2 e-mobility box that you can see here. And this EASY2 e-mobility box is optimized for EMS load management solutions for the CPO. This is the box that you see here. This box has all the interfaces in the box required for connection, for example, to the chargers. You can see down here that you have all of the Ethernet ports with Keystone modules ready to go. You have the DSO interfaces that you can directly attach here. You can have external power supply if you want, but we also have a built-in power supply. The box has a built-in mobility router to connect it to the internet if you don't have an internet connection on site. The controller is built in. There is a 16-port switch built in. and it's very compact. So the system is designed in a way that it can be installed inside the transformer station. And the capabilities of this solution that we provide is to balance the power in real time with dynamic load control. That means it keeps the grid limit inside the requirements. It basically makes sure in real time that the transformer station is not overloaded, and it dynamically controls each charging point individually. You can also combine AC and DC chargers of different brands for the same site. So if you have a combination of, let's say, Alpitronic hyperchargers and, for example, Siemens DC chargers, and in addition you build, for example, Mennekes IC wall boxes, you can do that with the same solution. So you don't need a different solution, it's the same solution. It's independent of what the manufacturer of your charging equipment is. So what it does is it protects also the assets. It has a dual set point functionality, so you can limit the grid, you can limit the substations as well if you have the requirement for this. You have hard limits and fallbacks, so in case of the meter is failing, in case if you have a hardware failure, we have the functionality to do automatic load shading alarms to safeguard the infrastructure. So if, for example, the meter fails, you can define a fallback scenario with a fallback power that is always provided. But we can also add things like PV. You can add multiple batteries for functionalities like peak shaving or supporting the charging infrastructure with an additional battery. You can have self-consumption optimization if you have this requirement. And the idea is to install once, run, and basically you have this compact, rugged wall cabinet that is quite small. It ships pre-wired with thin rail controller. It has a built-in 16-port LTE router, like you've just seen. And it's a plug-and-play deployment solution. So it's designed to be installed quite fast. It's designed for this particular use case. It has everything built in for this requirement, for this use case. So this is the perfect solution, for example, if you are a CPO and do large-scale rollouts, or if you are a company that installs charging infrastructure, this is the solution. So, and again, we also provide online commissioning support. So if you don't want to do the commissioning by yourself, you can have this commissioning support done by us, and then we will take care of the commissioning of the configuration of the system. So how does this work in the project? So switching back into the actual project that we were just in, the way this works is that the client first of all needs to install measurements. So what they do is they install on the grid connection point a meter that measures the power in real time. The next thing the client does inside the transformer station, they install our EASY2 e-mobility box. What they then do is they wire each of the chargers directly to that e-mobility box. So you will have an Ethernet connectivity going to this e-mobility box. And this is the reason why we have these Ethernet ports down here, so you can directly wire your charging stations to the box. You have keystone modules down here that you can take off. You can just have your installation wires coming to the box. You can attach it here, and then this is the solution for Ethernet. You would also install the meter directly into the system, so the meter is connected also directly to that box. Usually you do, since it's a close proximity in this solution, because everything is built inside the transformer station, usually you just take a wire from the meter Ethernet cable and attach it directly to the switch of the box that is built in, the 16-port switch. And the next thing that we do is we connect the DSO signals to the system. And for the DSO signals, we have down here the ports to connect the DSO signals. So we have digital functionalities. We also have an extension module if you have analog, if you require analog connections, but we also have something that we call the IEC protocol port. And you can see that also here, this is the RS485 ports that you can directly connect your DSO interface, like with IEC 101 or 104 through Ethernet. You can also have a direct communication to the grid operator. So everything is inside this box, everything is wired now into the system. If you want, you can also add a PV and a battery as an add-on to the system. And the next step that needs to be done is we need to do the configuration of the system. And I want to show you this. So the configuration is designed to be very simple, very fast. We will do that on the system right away. So I'm connected to my EASY2 system that is now running and live, and here I do the configuration. For example, I can set up the meter on the grid connection point. For example, if I have a Janitzer meter, I would just select it here, enter the IP address of my Janitzer meter, activate it, and then the setup of the grid connection point is done. You have a charging regulator, which is the CPS regulator, where you can set your limits. For example, for the grid connection point, we have an additional limit that you can set for, we call it the CPS regulation point. You can just go in here, set the limitation, and this part is done. To add chargers to the charging station, you just go into the charging station tab, and it's just going to load the images from the system. So you can select your charger, whatever charging type that you have. Let's say we are having an Alpitronic charger in this case. Then you just go in here, you set the IP address, and a couple other informations like how many charging points do I have and which charging point is this charging point. You activate it and you are done. So as you can see, the commissioning of the system, it can be done very fast, and the only thing that you need to assure is that your components are online and reachable from the system. Once you have done this configuration, you will see that the system actually starts to work. It will go live, and you can see that on the screen. You will see your charging stations. In this case, we have configured 8 charging stations. You will see the power on these charging stations. You have interfaces for the grid operator. So everything is there, and obviously you have much, much more information on the screen that I'm not going to show you right now because we can see it later on. So what does the system actually do? So what it does at the end of the day, it reads data from this meter in real time. So through Ethernet, it pulls this meter very fast in real time, and based on the information of the meter, it does automatic limitation of each individual charging point. So it controls actively the power of each charging point individually. In addition, we can also have a PV integrated, and we also control and read this PV in real time. So it's also part of the regulation strategy. If you have a battery, for example, and you want to do things like shared SOC, you have an area for peak shaving, you have an area for self-usage. We can see that in the second use case later on, but all of this is included inside this EASY2 solution. So at the end of the day, what are the advantages of this solution? So the first one is it has a real dynamic, real-time load control, which means that it does not only statically support or supply power to the system, but it's an active measurement system that controls the charging stations to always reach the maximum possible power on this charging infrastructure. The next very important part is a vendor agnostic solution. So let's say 1 year from now you decide you want to switch to a different charging station, you can still use the same concept, the same energy management solution and everything. You're basically independent of the charging infrastructure that you actually build. It's a plug and play setup with vendor support. So we as vendor, we're happy to support you for the commissioning, and it is designed to be installed quite fast. It scales up to 250 charging points. It's a rugged cabinet solution for fast and easy installation. And it has all the DSO connectivities and regulatory requirements that you need to deploy the system into the field. It has PV and battery integration as well as energy market integration. So you can control your charging infrastructure based on energy market pricing. So for example, if the power is cheap, then you can charge more with higher power. If the power is expensive, you can reduce the power of the infrastructure. For example, if you are in a company and if you want to make your solution price agnostic. And what is very important, it's a market-proven tech with more than 10 years of field success. It's been in the field for a very long time. It's been used widely across the world right now, and from multiple big rollout customers that deploy this all over the place. It's a proven solution that is in the market for a very long time. So at this point, I told you a lot of things about the EASY2 solution. What I would like to know from you is what is your touching points with the charging infrastructure. And for this, we have prepared a short poll again that you can give us some information. We are very interested to see what is your touching points with the charging infrastructure. So I would like to ask the studio team to launch into the poll. It's only going to take about 1 minute, and we would be very happy if we could get your feedback. All right, welcome back everybody. So we spoke a lot about e-mobility now, and I'm sure that not everybody that joined us today is only interested in e-mobility. So I've prepared a second use case for you guys, which is the environmental campus in Birkenfeld. The environmental campus in Birkenfeld is a university that is basically dedicated to renewable energy. And this campus Birkenfeld obviously has the requirement to install energy management solutions, and they came to us, a smart one, to help them with their project. So this for us is what we call an energy project, and I want to show you today how this energy project is realized with an easy solution from SmartOne. So the starting situation at the environmental campus Birkenfeld was that they had already a pre-installed PV plant with about 100 kilowatt. This plant was installed on top of the building, and they had about a 120 kilowatt transformer station. Now, since they wanted to do much more in the environmental sector, they decided that they want to install charging stations. So they built a new charging lot, and on this new charging lot they installed DC chargers, they installed AC chargers from different brands, and in addition they had the requirement from the grid operator to limit the power of the PV plant, as well as to limit the power of the charging infrastructure with digital inputs. So the solution, because they had a lot of charging infrastructure and they wanted to have more power available for this charging infrastructure, the solution was to install battery storages to buffer the charging infrastructure during the time when the demand was higher. So based on the EMS, there was a couple requirements here. So the first one was that we need to have real-time active power limitation for this connection point here that goes to the transformer station. Because the charging infrastructure is about 350 kilowatts and we only have about 120 kilowatt of available power. In addition, we had a power limitation on this cable of maximum 250 amps, which results in about 170 kilowatts of power available for this connection point. So we needed to make sure that we never draw more than 170 kilowatts over this cable. The battery itself needed to be controlled because we want to buffer the charging infrastructure with this battery. So if basically the grid is already full from the campus itself, we want to use the battery to basically provide power to this charging infrastructure. And in addition, we have the DSO signals that need to be controlled from the EMS and needs to be actually provided to these components. So for this, we have designed something that we call the EASY2 cabinet, the small commercial cabinet. It's a cabinet designed, you can see it over here, it's a cabinet designed for smaller scale projects, for EMS projects. And inside this cabinet, you can see that it has switches built in. It has Ethernet cables that you can connect. It also has already the grid connection interfaces here. It has RS485 buses, everything pre-installed with power supply. So it's a box that you can just use for smaller scale energy projects that doesn't have the requirement for high Ethernet, or you do the Ethernet, for example, externally inside the system. So it's still a quite compact box, but for most of the energy projects, it's actually sufficient. So what can this box do? So the box itself, it has a display that you can see the configuration, you can do and check what's going on in the system. And on this display, you can also do your configuration and see what's going on into the system. So it's a complete EMS solution for your energy projects. So it's an all-in-one solution for small-scale commercial applications, like I just told you. It has integration for battery, PV, and also EV charging points, also AC and DC EV charging points. We have the DSO signal support for PV and the e-car. We have real-time control for up to 5 battery systems in a multi-use battery concept, for example with mixed peak shaving and self-usage optimization. We have real-time dynamic load management for AC and DC charging points. It also protects your asset with the dual set point concept that we had before, but we will see in this project that it's actually being used. And it's an all-in-one rugged wall cabinet. It ships pre-wired with a display controller, with a 5-port Ethernet switch, with a 24-volt power supply, and it's designed for plug-and-play deployment. And again, we also provide an online commissioning support from SmartOne and also from partners for those kind of projects. So switching back to the environmental campus Birkenfeld. So based on the requirements that we had, the first thing that we needed to do is, again, we needed to install measurements. So we installed a meter on the NVP connection point. The client installed a meter on the CPS connection point. And the next thing that happened is they installed the EASY2 commercial cabinet. This EASY2 commercial cabinet is then connected through Ethernet with the meters to the charging stations, to the batteries, and also to the PV inverters. And what the system does, in addition, it directly takes the digital input signals from the DSO, from the grid operator, inside this box for the external control. Now what the system does in the first step to actually get it using, it needs to be configured again. And I want to show you some functionalities into the configuration again for this system. So first of all, you already saw how we configure the charging stations. But in this case, it also needs to configure a secondary regulation point. So let's say this is another meter with Janica. You can enter the IP address of the Janica here. And this is your secondary limitation. So this is the power line that we need to limit here. This power line, this would be the CPS meter. So this is the additional limitation. And you can actually scale it up. If you have more limitations, you can switch into a master-slave system where you can have multiple levels of limitation in a nested configuration, up to 250 charging points. So switching back into our configuration. Switching back into our configuration, the next thing that we want to do is to configure the batteries. So these batteries, you can select the vendor here. You also basically define the IP address, you define charging limits, capacities, power of the system, and some other things. And in this battery configuration, you can have up to 5. You can just configure your batteries here. You can configure your PV here. So you have the PV assistance to configure the PV inverters here. And once this configuration is done, you actually get the real-time interface on the data system. So this is the interface of the controller that you see here. You can see we have the batteries, we have the PV attached. In the battery systems, if you go in, you can see what the system is actually doing. It's a multi-cluster system in this case. You can also see the configuration of the system here. So if you want to, for example, change what's happening for this configuration, you can do the changes into what we call the multi-use battery regulator, where you can define for each period of the year what the system shall do. So it's actually quite easy to use, quite easy to configure, and you see all the data here. So you see what is happening on your grid connection point, you see what is happening on the grid level itself. You can see what's happening on the charging stations, like you see here. You see what's happening on the PV and the battery, like you see here. So everything is inside this one system. You configure it, you power it up, and it's pretty much done. So the way the system actually operates after configuration is it reads these meters that we installed again in real time. This time it reads the NVP meter, it reads the CPS meter, and what it does based on this, it controls the charging infrastructure as well as the battery storage in a way that this connection line is never overloaded. We never draw or put more than 120 kilowatts inside the grid, and the battery is used in the use case that it supports the charging infrastructure to provide power when there is cars charging. In addition, it reads and monitors data from the PV plant for the visualization. And at the end of the day, through this control with the DSO, it also does the limitation. So what are the advantages for the IPC and the installers and the distributors of this solution? So first of all, it's an all-in-one, easy-to-use solution. So you don't need multiple EMS systems, multiple components attached together to provide this one thing. It's one solution, and this one solution can cover all of the areas of energy management. It's a scalable solution, starts from small commercial but goes up to industrial applications. So it's still this same solution, you can use it for small commercial and for industrial applications. It's a plug-and-play solution which is vendor agnostic. We also provide vendor support and commissioning services, as I've explained before. It's an easy-to-learn solution for most use cases, so you don't need to be a super specialist to use this solution. We have designed it in a way that most of the complexity is already covered by the application itself, and you only activate the functionalities of this solution. It's a rugged cabinet for fast and easy installation. It fulfills all the DSO and regulatory interfaces with active and reactive control, like the VDE requirements that you have for your projects. It supports e-mobility, it supports PV, it supports battery, but it supports also dynamic power pricing. So you can have dynamic energy pricing inside your projects as well with this ready-to-go installation and solution. And then again, it's a market-proven technology that's been in the field for a long time. Like I've already said before, it's used by a lot of companies already for a long time. And it's a reliable technology that is designed by us with the specific use cases in mind. So, like we've done it for the last use cases, we've spoken a lot about the functionality of our system, but what is also very important for us to understand is what makes the EMS perfect for your application. So we have a quick poll again. It will only take 1 minute again, and we will be back in just a minute then. Welcome back, guys. So we spoke a lot about the controllers, the cabinets, and all of these things. I want to also speak a little bit about the capabilities in terms of monitoring and also the EnergyCloud. So the system itself, it comes with something that we call the Smart One Portal. And the Smart One Portal is a system that is designed for real-time functionalities and asset monitoring. So it's basically an asset monitoring platform that provides 24/7 live access to all the data. It has API interfaces for integration of other components. It has an all-in-one management and monitoring solution for all of your different assets. So you can do real-time monitoring, you can do operational management. It has functionalities for extended reporting. You have an integrated component simulator. We have a small e-mobility backend also built into the solution, and we have detailed data analysis and evaluation in the system. So at the end of the day, it's a cross-asset monitoring platform that supports asset administration, monitoring, and operation. Another very important thing to note is that we have a very high level of details in the reporting. So you can see at the end of the day any asset, all the values of that asset. So if you are, for example, a system partner and you want to know what is wrong with your application, you can see everything in detail through the detailed reporting that we provide. We also have real-time control and real-time commissioning. So basically you have a tool that you can remotely connect to your systems through our cloud. We have real-time control of the system through our portal. So you have full control of your actual assets. So it's the perfect solution for you if you're looking for something that you can have cross-asset monitoring, everything centralized in one big platform. This is what the Smart One Portal actually provides. Another thing that we have just launched is something that we call the Smart One EnergyCloud. The Smart One EnergyCloud is a system for dynamic market pricing. So what it does, it takes input signals like variable power tariffs, it takes input signals like weather data, the user behavior and user preferences, and it converts it into an output. So basically what it does is it's going to select when is the cheapest time or the best time to charge your wall box, when would it make sense to shut off your heat pump, or we have something that's called the energy trader, which does basically purchase power from the energy grid, stores it into the battery storage when the power is cheap, and then discharges it when the power is more expensive. So this new platform, the Smart One EnergyCloud, is part of our platform, is part of the Smart One portal, integrated into the Smart One portal. It's a new platform that is also already built in the EASY2 solution. So to sum this up, the highlights of the EASY2, the first one is that it's a rollout ready, pre-wired, pre-configured solution for fast commissioning. So it is designed in a way that you can actually install the box in a short way, but it still adapts to the specifics of this one particular project. It scales up to 250 chargers or up to 25 batteries per cluster with integration of photovoltaic, with DSO integration, and it still adapts to your solution. So it's a very scalable platform, but it's still always the same product. It's a vendor-neutral solution. It protects your investment, which means that later on you don't need to switch to a different hardware for chargers just because you switch to a different control solution. And it's a free hardware choice, so it allows you to freely switch between components. It's cloud-enabled with real-time insights, remote management, and it's also energy market ready. It's a future-proof, long-term solution with a modular hardware and licensing concept, and it scales without replacements. And again, it's a market-proven tech with more than 10 years of field success. So all in all, Smart One EASY2 is the best and future-proof choice for your energy management solution. So to sum this up real quick, this EASY2 system is something that is available, it's something that is in the market, it's been proven in the system for a long time, and our sales team is very happy to basically pick up your requests, to speak with you about your requirements in your energy management projects, and we would be happy to be in touch with you after this presentation. But also to give you a faster starting point, we created an exclusive EMS offer that is available for the participants of this presentation at a very reduced price to get you guys started. This offer is valid for a limited period of time, and we would like to ask you to reach out to our sales team if you're interested in testing this solution. So we will also send you a flyer for this solution after the presentation via email in case you need to have more details on it, but it's a limited offer, only valid for a period of time. So if you want to test our system, now is the perfect time to do so. And last but not least, if you're interested to see us live, we have our 10-year anniversary party on June 27. Our new CEO, Hans-Peter Pircher, is happy to give you a short tour on the EASY2 solutions. I will be there as well if you want to have an introduction personally. So if you are interested into joining our party, our 10-year anniversary party, I'm very, very happy to invite all of you to join to the party. Thank you very much for your time and the effort to join this presentation. I would like to switch to a short question and answer session. The team in the background has gathered your questions that you had during the presentation, and I'm happy to switch to these questions now and explain to you, answer these questions basically. So the first question that we have is, how long is your load management solution on the market? So we've started to develop this solution about 7 years ago, and in the large-scale rollout scenarios with EnBW, for example, the solution has been in the field for probably more than 5 years now. So like I said, it's a well-proven, well-tested technology that is used all over Germany, all over Europe currently, and it's been on the market for a very long time. The next question that we had is, by 5 batteries, is it meant, for example, 5 hybrid inverters with connected batteries are controlled? That is absolutely correct. So you can attach 5 hybrid inverters, you can attach 5 dedicated battery inverters. Even if you have more than 5, you can use a master-slave scenario so that you can have up to 25 batteries connected to the system, and it does not matter for our system whether it be hybrid inverters or it be dedicated battery inverters. The next question is, are there different versions of the Smart One Cloud system? So there is basically only one thing that we call the Smart One portal, and the Smart One portal, it basically is generally a free version. We have something that we call Smart One Premium in the portal, and the Smart One Premium, it gives you advanced features like you can have a detailed reporting, you can have a more detailed, you can have log systems in the system that you want, but at the end of the day, it's one platform, it's generally free, it just has some features in addition that you can book, but you don't have to. The next question that we have is load balancing also integrated in charging stations in the EMS? So load balancing is generally integrated into the system, obviously. So the load balancing, as we call it the dynamic real-time control. So this is what we consider load balancing, because what it does is it balances the load across those charging stations. So this is absolutely integrated in the solution. The next question that we have is, does the Smart One system provide the charging stations with internet? So it's possible to use the internet router to the EASY2 to connect the chargers to the back end. It's a quite interesting question, and the answer generally is yes, that's absolutely possible. So if your charging station does not have built-in SIM cards or something like this, then you can use the router inside the Smart One EASY2 system to actually provide internet to those charging stations. So if you have an external CPO, for example, and you connect your charging stations through the regular Ethernet on these charging stations, and the Ethernet is connected to the EASY2 box, then you can absolutely use the router inside the EASY2 box to provide this connectivity to your charging stations. That's absolutely possible. The next question that we have is, can the charging infrastructure be connected to a CPO backend and simultaneously be connected to an EASY2? That's actually a very excellent question. So we don't use OCPP to connect to the charging stations, and there's a reason for this. OCPP is usually the protocol that is used to connect to top-level CPOs. And we want you guys to be free to use whatever CPO backend that you want to use. So we don't block this communication. So we took the effort to integrate the local management protocols of all these charging stations individually. So with our solution, you're free to use whatever CPO backend that you want to use, because we are going to be using a different interface for the load management. So you're free and it's not blocked, and it's absolutely, you can use any backend that you want. The next question, is there any graphical overview of the installation in the config interface, similar to the graphic in the slide? So the slides and the graphics are actually from that configuration. So what you saw in the presentation is the actual interface of the system. So I can show you here if you want on this box. So you can see the interface of the system here. I know it's not very big, I hope you guys can see it, but it's visualized directly on the device itself. Even if you have no display on the device, we have a web server where you can see it in the portal, you can see the same interface in the portal, so it makes no difference. If you have a display, if you don't have a display, you will still have that same interface. The next question is, are there any recurring costs for hardware and license? So basically, the system itself is a one-time purchase. It's a perpetual license that you purchase with the system, and it's a one-time purchase. So there is no recurring costs for the hardware and the firmware itself. The only thing that we have is, like I explained before, the Smart One Premium Portal. And the Smart One Premium Portal is something that you can book in addition, but that has nothing to do with the actual purchase of the hardware. So the next question is, will the new configuration software also be available to existing systems? So we are currently working on a concept that will allow existing installations to transform into this new EASY2 system. It's going to be an upgrade at a certain price that is currently defined by our sales team. And yes, it will be possible to upgrade to this new platform under certain circumstances. So it's not a general yes, but it's possible under certain circumstances. And I would like you guys to reach out to our sales team and talk about this EASY2 solution and how you can upgrade your solution to this new EASY2 solution. The next question is, can I work with the EASY2 with CAN bus or HDMI? So the system itself is designed, it has a lot of interfaces. It's designed to support things like CAN bus, for example. We don't support HDMI directly. We have a display controller that you have already seen. We don't have HDMI interfaces directly into the system, but we do have a CAN bus extension to integrate components through CAN bus, for example. The next question is, do you provide economic assignments or modeling solutions for pre-sale purposes? And the answer is yes, we absolutely do. Our portal has something that we call the component simulator. And the component simulator is a module inside the portal where you can take an existing load profile, you can upload this load profile to the simulator, and then you can simulate components. Like you can simulate the battery storage, you can simulate the PV, and you can basically size and design based on these components that you have. It will also tell you the return of investment. You're able to share this as an external link, for example, with your client. So this is what the Smart One Component Simulator is designed for, to support you in your sales for this particular project. The next question is, how do we evaluate if a manufacturer could be interested for our worth implementation? So that's actually a good question. So we have an implementation strategy at Smart One. First of all, we have a very big test lab in our building. So the way an integration usually works in general is that we get the component on site and our team is integrating and deploying this component into the system. And the assessment whether it be worth it to integrate or not is based on two conditions. The first condition, if it's a product that is generally broadly used inside the market, then we as a Smart One will take the effort to do this integration. The second case that we have is we have projects where clients need to have components integrated into our solution. And we also do that under certain circumstances. But this is also something that you would need to discuss with our sales team, and they would be happy to talk to you about your specific use case for the integration. The next question is, how long is the integration time of new systems? So the usual integration time for components is depending on the component itself. We have easy to integrate components like an AC wall box. The integration usually takes about 4 weeks from the time that we start the integration. For battery storage systems, the usual integration time is about 4 to 8 weeks into the system. So it really depends a little bit on the component. Please also note that there is a little head-up time for integration because obviously we have a little list of components that we need to integrate. But the general integration time is not very long. We also do extended testing in our test lab. You will get a very detailed test report for the component as a part of this integration to make sure that everything works correct with this integration. The next question is whether our system works with the with the BMS system of the battery, I would suppose in this case. So we have a multi-layer integration for battery systems. So for battery systems, usually you can have either an integration of a full system. If your system is like a combined product of an inverter with a battery and has a controller built in that abstracts the battery as one system, we can implement the interface to this controller. But we can also directly implement the BMS of the battery and directly implement the inverter of the battery and basically be this little controller and abstract this little controller into the system. We then also take over the security measurements inside the system. We have a secondary security concept. So we do very, very deep integrations of BMS and battery systems. So you can basically even swap components. So we have integrations where we have an inverter integrated. You can select which battery that you want to use with this inverter. The next question is, what is the control algorithms of the EMS? Is there an optimization inside? So we have functionalities for the optimization in the EMS that are depending on the component. So for the batteries, we have functionalities like multi-use regulations where you can define SOC areas, and inside these SOC areas you have different functionalities. For the e-mobility, we have a prioritization concept where you can define for each charging point, even per charging card if you want, what priority the system shall have, the charging point shall have. So technically you can prioritize and structure your algorithms based on priority, based on SOC levels, but also you can mix up these scenarios into one regulation concept. Is EASY2 more difficult like EASY1? So EASY2 is absolutely less difficult than EASY1. EASY2 it has more functionality, so the configuration looks bigger, but it's actually far more easy to configure than it was with the EASY1 system. The next question that we have is the integration with the building management system possible? So the answer here is also yes. EASY2 has an open Modbus protocol. This Modbus protocol is part of the EASY2 system, and you can interact with the system through this Modbus protocol. So if your building management system supports Modbus, you can take our standardized EASY2 Modbus interface and just, for example, read data from the system or even write data into the system. So since I just heard from the team, there is a couple more questions in the round, but we are a little bit out of time. So I would like you guys, please, to send the questions that you have via email to the team, and we will be happy to answer them afterwards in detail or give you a call and have a short conversation about this in detail regarding the questions. So again, guys, thank you very, very much for the time and the effort in joining us today. To sum this up, I hope that EASY2 solution is something that you could consider testing or using in your applications. And again, we have this special offer for a limited period of time. We will send you a flyer afterwards. We will also send you an official invitation to our 10-year anniversary party after this presentation. Thank you very much for joining, and hopefully speak with you in person soon. Thanks, guys.